All right, so now we're ready for the transit. For the stand, you just got to get it close to being within this bubble here on this one, because this one's self-leveling. The version that I used to have had separate ones, and you had to manually level it yourself. But these self-leveling ones, they're a lot nicer, and actually it didn't cost really any more than the other one did. But the next thing is when you turn this off, which it's on now, I've already turned it on, but to turn it off, you're actually supposed to lock it in place and then hold down the button until it shuts off. But to turn it on, all you have to do is simply turn it to the unlocked, and it will automatically turn on and self-level itself. If it is too far out, if the stand is too far out of level for it to be able to do it, because it has a certain amount of tolerance that it can do, then you will need to, it'll start screaming at you and it'll tell you that you got to adjust it. But if you're anywhere near that bubble, you're generally going to be fine. The next thing, of course, is the stick. And there's multiple different ones. The one I used to have was like a telescoping type version. Some are pretty solid. This one comes in separate pieces. About every 2 feet, there's a joint, and it just clips in together. And the reader simply is a compression that slides up and down. Now, the bad thing about that is that it's not hard. Even when you take the compression off, it doesn't have too much of a habit of sliding up, unless you know, like if you bump it from the top, it might slide up. You bump it from the bottom, it might slide down. So you got to make sure you check every once in a while that it hasn't moved if you've bumped it. Usually just try and make sure your hand stays away from the actual piece. But you just turn it on. Oh, I forgot to put batteries in it. All right, so we'll try this again. So then all you gotta do is press the button to turn it on. And then you can adjust it. You're basically gonna slide it up or down until it will finally read the laser, which Tyler's going the wrong direction. He needs to go down instead of up. My guess is it's going to be around 2'6". I mean 3'6" is what I meant, but it's going to be close to there. It's on. Maybe I was right the first time. It's about 2'2".
3'1".
3'1". That's what I meant, was 3 foot, but keep saying 2. So now when you're trying to get the level point, you'll see, and this is extremely sensitive. This is the tolerance that this is set on is within like a 1/16. So if you even slightly lean this one way or the other, it will breed off. You have to hold it dead level right now where it's at to get that tolerance. And you'll notice if it is low, it beeps fast. If it's high, it'll beep slower. So if you use this often enough, you can recognize just the beep without looking at it, which way you got to go. Another feature that a lot of these have, if you don't like the noise, you can turn it off. And then there's also another feature, which what this right here does is I have it set on this option instead of this one. That's just because I like things as close as possible to being perfect. This one over here, what it does is it gives you a tolerance of more like 3/16 of an inch instead of a 1/16. So it's less accurate, but perfectly fine for if you're just doing landscaping, stuff like that, and you're just wanting to get it roughly close. But if you're trying to level a building, you're going to want it on the setting that I have it on. So we've figured out what our point is. So what you can do with this, so basically that laser is at a set point. That laser does not move. So if you're going to want your slab, which this is what we want to do. We've set it based off of this slab, and we want the next slab to be a 1/2 inch down. So what you need to do is you need to move this up a 1/2 inch. And what that does is that moves the bottom point down a 1/2 inch by moving this up. Because, like I said, that laser is still in the same spot. So you're dropping the bottom. Now, if you're wanting to go uphill, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to want to drop this down to get that. So what we're going to do for this slab, because it is going 12 feet out and we want a 1/4 inch per foot drop. So at this side, we're going to set this at 3 foot 2 inches because it's 3 foot 1.5. And on the far end outside, we're actually going to want it to be at 3 foot 5 inches. And these measurements only matter in the case of what you're dealing with today. Because when you set that laser up again tomorrow, it's not going to be in the exact same spot, the exact same height. So every single day you need to recheck what your reference point is, where that line's coming in. Every single time that you set up that machine. So then it doesn't matter where you put it. And that's where a lot of times, in our case now we have a concrete right here. When we were doing it for this, we actually set up on, we picked one post. It was actually that one right there that we set ourselves up a board on for dead level where we needed, so we could reset at the start of every day. A lot of times for grading, when there's no building, you might just pick a spot out in the field somewhere and you would drive a stake. We actually did that on the large 2-story edition. We drove a stake in the middle of the field and set it and drove it to exactly where we wanted the grade to be so that we could reset at the beginning of every day what we needed our transit to be. So that's basically how the transit is going to work. Like I say, your laser is a dead line, and then depending if you want to go down, you're going to move it up. If you want the hill to go upward, you're going to move it downward, because that reference point does not move once the laser is set up. So now we're going to start. I've filled this fairly close. I still might have to adjust it once I start using the transit, but I eyeballed it all, got it fairly close. We're going to go ahead and get the forms set up around the sides, hopefully run it out the 12 foot that way, and then start probably filling that to exactly where it needs to be, and then work our way around. I'll probably move after we get this piece across, then we can come along here. And then I'll probably go out that way before I connect them together. So we'll just get started with that.